The Ford Model T, produced between 1908 and 1927, is often remembered as the car that put the world on new wheels. Before its arrival, automobiles were considered luxury machines, reserved only for the wealthy. They were handcrafted, expensive, and often unreliable on rough roads. But Henry Ford had a vision to create a car that was affordable, durable, and simple enough for the average American to own and drive. This vision gave birth to the Model T, a machine that forever changed transportation, industry, and society itself. When the Model T was introduced in 1908, it was priced at around $850. Which was already cheaper than many competing cars of the time. But Ford's real genius was not just in the design of the vehicle, but in the way he built it. By perfecting the moving assembly line in 1913, Ford was able to cut production costs drastically. This innovation reduced the time it took to build the Model T from over 12 hours to less than 2, and that efficiency allowed the price to drop year after year. By the mid-1920s, a brand new Model T could be bought for under $300, making it accessible to millions of families. The car itself was built with simplicity and toughness in mind. It was powered by a 2.9-liter, four-cylinder engine that produced about 20 horsepower, enough to reach a top speed of around 40 to 45 miles per hour. It used a planetary gear transmission that was controlled with foot pedals, which seemed unusual compared to the gearshift system we're familiar with today. Yet, this design made it easier for new drivers to learn, and the mechanical layout was sturdy enough to handle the dirt roads, mud, and rural conditions of early 20th century America. One of the Model T's greatest strengths was its adaptability. Farmers could use it as a reliable car for travel, but many also converted it into tractors, delivery vehicles, or even makeshift trucks by modifying the chassis. Its simple engineering meant that repairs could be done at home with basic tools. This adaptability made it more than just a car. It was a machine that could serve countless purposes, especially in a country that was still largely agricultural. The Model T was offered in a variety of body styles, including touring cars, coupes, and roadsters. Early on, Ford produced them in several colors, but from 1914 to 1925, the company famously offered the car only in black. This wasn't because Ford had a special preference for the color, but rather because black paint dried the fastest, which suited the speed of assembly line production. The phrase "any color, so long as it's black" became associated with Henry Ford's philosophy of efficiency and standardization. Beyond its mechanical and production achievements, the Model T had a cultural impact unlike any car before it. By making automobiles affordable, it gave ordinary families the freedom to travel farther than ever before. It broke down the isolation of rural life, allowing farmers and their families to visit towns, cities, and relatives with greater ease. It encouraged the building of roads and fuel stations, which laid the foundation for modern transportation infrastructure. The Model T also shaped social habits, as Sunday drives became a popular activity and car ownership became a symbol of independence and progress. Over its 19-year production run, the Ford Motor Company built more than 15 million Model Ts. For a time, it held the record as the most produced car in the world, a record that lasted until 1972 when it was finally surpassed by the Volkswagen Beetle. The sheer number of Model Ts on the road ensured that it was a familiar sight across the United States and in many other countries, since Ford also established assembly plants overseas to meet global demand. Despite its success, by the mid-1920s, the Model T began to show its age. Other manufacturers, such as Chevrolet and Dodge, were offering cars with more modern features, greater comfort, and more stylish designs. The Model T, though dependable, was seen as outdated. In 1927, Ford finally ended production of the Model T, closing an extraordinary chapter in automotive history. Henry Ford shut down his factories for several months to retool and introduce the Model A, which became the next step in the company's legacy. Looking back, the Ford Model T represents more than just a car. It was a symbol of industrial innovation, mass production, and the democratization of mobility. It changed not only how people traveled but also how products were manufactured, setting the stage for modern assembly line methods used across industries. It influenced culture, economics, and the very landscape of the world by encouraging road building and fueling the growth of suburbs. Today, surviving Model Ts are treasured by collectors and enthusiasts. They remind us of a time when the automobile was still new and exciting, when the roar of an engine and the freedom of the open road represented the dawn of a new era. It's hard to imagine modern life without cars, and much of that is thanks to the humble but revolutionary Ford Model T. It wasn't the fastest or the fanciest, but it was the car that made motoring a reality for the masses, earning its rightful place in history as one of the most important vehicles ever built.